We're back like those dinosaurs, and we've got a matchup for you. Tom and Ryan just here briefly to let you know how y'all felt about this one. AstralAuthority taking on Team RvL. It's game number 2.
And it's going to need a bounce-back win here for RvL if they have any hope of winning this bracket reset, you know, second best of 5. Even though Astral's played way more games today, well, I guess not way more. They played 2 extra games and beating Flashpoint in order to get here. I wonder if RvL is trying to hold on for dear life until Astral runs out of gas.
I mean, that is definitely a possibility. At the moment, though, it looks like all things on F. Full to the tank here for AstralAuthority right now. No signs of slowing down.
No, it's really been centered around Wolves. But this game, I think I'm excited to see what oBoronic can bring on that Thoth.
It's going to be exciting. Game 2. Finch, Tully, let her rip.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Ryan. As we move into the second game of our third set, or really our second set here in the finals. That's right. Yeah, Finch and Tully.
Look how cute we look.
Yeah, those jokers are the ones on the desk.
Yeah.
We don't want to hear from them anymore. But yeah, it's going to be us here in this very important game. Tully, it very much feels like if RvL don't win this game, that this one just might be over. It's going to be so difficult for them to win 3 in a row after having lost, what, 5 of the last 6 games?
Something like that.
Essentially.
Yeah, they lost the last 3, or 3 in the last set, and now an additional one in this game. So already stacking up in the 4-loss counter, but got to give credit to where credit is due. AstralAuthority, they were the ones in the spring split that couldn't handle the lower bracket RvL squad, but now this time around, they're doing the same thing that RvL did in the spring. They're fighting their way out of the trenches.
Yeah, maybe there's something about coming back through the lower bracket, man, with that extra focus, that extra energy that's helping them out. But this matchup's going to be so important, Tully. We were talking about this solo lane matchup off screen and how the cripple field from this RDO is going to be so disruptive, and how this was kind of picked to try and maybe cause problems for Predators.
And I was surprised that they allowed Predators to play the Hercules into an RDO, considering that Osiris was still available, that they elected to put that in the jungle instead, where there's more control from a Hercules. So some jungle ganks from a Hercules, not a bad thing. And as an additional point to the cripple field is their driving strike is going to be stopped.
Right.
So why would you put yourself in that gimped position on purpose?
Yeah, there's a chance that if you just make that flex call and put Osiris over here, maybe the matchup could be a little bit better, especially with that tether. RDO does kind of like to get up and personal, and maybe you could shut that down. But Predators really want to be back on this Hercules, feeling confident in the matchup. We'll see if he can make it work on one of his signature picks.
Getting the pull off on some of the archers, but he's not dealing the burst damage that he really needs at level 2. Going for multi-potions is Wolves instead of the traditional health pots that he's been opting for, knowing that he has sustain in his kit. So as long as he has the mana to use that sustain, that'll make up the difference between multi and regular health potions.
As long as he has that there, and it looks like he does have the blue buff around him. Even Rapio showing some attention on the solo side of the map, but there's not really anything up, no real gank potential either. So Rapio not going to look for it. In fact, he might end up meeting with Layers if he goes aggressive in the jungle after just getting this Harpies. They will indeed meet. Layers still has the hammer, though, so he can teleport away. The slow is in effect. Rapio can close the distance, but does not choose to.
Too much experience on the map for him to chase down a level 3 Thor that still has the speed buff. Mid-wave wanting to share some of that. Speed buff respawning any second on top of the blue. You got to be on the farm game. Always be clearing. Got to get your ABCs online.
That really was Layers who was the one going aggressive to the opposing jungle there too, so a nice bit of stealing he was able to get away. As no big surprise that Inbound and Cyprexa are clearing. I like that juke, by the way, to avoid the wall. Nicely done by Inbound, but the Sylvanas Artemis should not be struggling to clear, so no surprise at all that they're having a good time.
I like the Sylvanas pick in general, and we haven't really seen it too much in this tournament, let alone today or even in this set, as Inbound got his Khepri banned away, even the Terra locked in by DineOhSaw, forcing Bobby to play something else, and Sylvanas has the lane pressure, has the clear potentially, and a lot of control with that Wrath of Terror. And that's why Wolves also elects to go for this kind of style by going for the RDO. Because of all the control, this allows oBoronic and Cyprexa to do late game hyper carry things.
That control comp should work very well for them. Do want to point out, Wolves just defended that blue buff up against 2 members. A great 2-man stun, and was able to bring it down with that first ability. So Wolves in a pretty good spot here now, having that blue buff around his waist. It looks like we are going to be seeing a little more attention from Rapio here to the solo lane, at least through these first few minutes. He's definitely been showing some presence on the solo side.
Not providing to be fruitful, unfortunately, with the blue buff in play, but the attempt was there. an RDO without blue buff is not as effective as one with blue buff. So you're looking to try to shut down a lot of those abilities and the sustain that you get from it, and that could give the 1v1 advantage potentially to Predators, having such a huge mana pool advantage. But because that invade happened and the defense successfully occurred, Wolves gets the solo experience, and the Predators has to share more of his wave, more of his own blue buff alongside Rapio.
Yeah, the only upside is that level 5 for these stance switchers, not quite as impactful as some others, so Wolves can't quite capitalize on what would ordinarily be a power spike for them, but that's also why that blue buff is so important, because you just use more abilities more often on these stance switchers, and had to make sure he defended it. So Wolves should be A-okay as Predators backs and should be TPing back in.
Choose the focus for Wolves. You got the Warrior Tabby for Predators, so Power's online, teleports both on cooldown. Wolves is going to have his available about 40 seconds before Predators, and yet again, just winning this boxing exchange. Predators should not be looking for the 1v1 unless he's getting a gank. A level 6 RDO is going to out-sustain a level 5 Hercules every single take.
It is going to be difficult to try and sustain him against this RDO, as we see Wolves very easily topping himself back up in terms of that healing. Even has Layers rotating over as well, so any chance for a dive or just a fight in general could be potentially strong for Astral as we see them pushing forward. They want to try and be here, though, for the blue buff spawn, as Rapio's nowhere to be found.
Well, the blue buff is going to spawn for Astral's side first, and then RvL. Wolves doing a good job being that zoner, just to see if Rapio is coming from his speed buff. Didn't really see the Osiris there. Can look for his blue buff himself. Excavate coming through, but just helps Wolves secure the blue buff.
That was entirely too early, and Wolves gets a very comfortable steal. Is going to drop now that cripple field and get the dunk in from Layers. That's going to interrupt the driving strike right in the middle.
The pull is good.
Pull does bring Wolves back, but there's too much support coming over from Inbound and some damage from oBoronic. Layers find first blood. Predators falls yet again.
Man, RvL were looking to win that 2v2 for a split second, but then here comes oBoronic, here comes Inbound, identifying where the pressure is coming from, really tipping the scales in Astral's favor with a first blood going the way of Layers.
AstralAuthority have really kind of zeroed in on what their win condition is here, and I think it's just to try and make life hard for Predators in particular, and they rotated 2 extra people over to make sure they were able to win that fight. It goes in their favor. They're now winning, or at least out in front in the kills, with that first blood helping them out. And they got the buff invade because the boulder from Predators a little bit too soon. I mean, that one really goes Astral's way. If
Predators just holds on to the boulder instead of the blue buff invade, just looks for it for the engagement itself, I think that you lose your blue buff on purpose to look to kill Wolves and then get out scot-free, but that wasn't the case. RvL take an early spill 6 minutes in.
I believe we also saw the driving strike get interrupted by the cripple field in that fight too when he was trying to dash through, so not able to get all the impact there. As Inbound goes to the Wrath of Terra, it's not enough. DineOhSaw and Fly just have too much damage in the middle lane. That's a very important return kill Astral can get. It doesn't help out the solo lane, but it is showing RvL signs of life elsewhere.
Even with reinforced shoes this early in the game, it's not enough to top off the Sylvanas. That's kind of a sitting duck during the Wrath of Terra. Great positioning from both Fly and DineOhSaw, locking the tree in place and then just chopping him down.
Red buff invade goes through successfully. Rapio takes actually a ton of poke there from oBoronic in the mid lane with those extended range on his abilities. Predators down below half health. Has to make sure he's careful. This is good to use the ultimate to try and clear the wave, but Layers is rotating over. There might be an Anvil of Dawn in Predators' future.
Yeah, no CC immunity, but I think he's out of range. I don't think he has the range to really make that tier 1 tower dive. Instead, looking to zone away RvL while another blue buff invade occurs.
Looks like this time RvL were able to defend it. DineOhSaw gets pulled back in. The hammer is there. Strife does not save them. A long range evade and punish puts Fly in trouble. The root's gonna land. Inbound gonna help out, and Wolves finds another kill this game. He's 1-0-1. Now they're going to invade the jungle.
So unfortunate. You're trying to help out Predators that has been struggling this entire set, honestly, between this one and the previous one, and then you get punished for it. Fly taking his first death of the game. Unfortunate positioning considering the angles that Astral were coming from.
Ended up just kind of not working out. And that's one more way that when you're struggling, it can hurt, right? Because Fly's doing is taking a pathing that he would normally be taking, right? He would not be there if this solo lane was even, right?
Yes.
But unfortunately, he has to come over, ends up taking that spill, and now the solo lane pressure Wolves has is starting to affect other lanes.
It's starting to really hurt. All of RvL Predator is struggling 2 levels behind despite securing his own blue and now is stealing away the additional blue out of Wolves, still with a 2-level deficit, and Wolves is only going to get scarier. He doesn't even have breastplate fully completed, and he's still winning these skirmishes.
Not able to land the stun there was DineOhSaw, but does get the root. Layers is here to try and cut off the path for the support here in the mid lane. Meanwhile, Predators is in trouble, or rather Wolves is, as Predators get some good damage off. Earth and Fury forced out by DineOhSaw, it looks like, in the middle lane.
Trying to kind of defend himself in a 1v3. oBoronic taking a little bit of poke, nothing too much to write home about. Speed buff being started from Layers, but he probably needs to back without having too much mana to do anything.
But it does look like Wolves is forced back to base over the solo side, had to use teleport, but does now have the Breastplate of Valor finish, should be that much more potent here in the solo lane. And speaking of those itemization choices, the Ankile or Runic Shield only going to help Predators against Wolves, not against Layers when he rotates.
No, definitely not against Layers, but it will help out against oBoronic once some of those later stage teamfights occurs. Runic Shield would be good, so with the Ankile, we're probably going to see the Ankile to disrupt the channeled ability from Wolves. That beam that applies the root upon the 5th consecutive hit is very obnoxious.
oBoronic finds the evade and punish. Vaporous Coast does have Purification B to make its way right on out of there. Final Judgment off the mark as Inbound continues to push forward. They want more action. Rapio incredibly low, but is able to lure to the Afterlife away. The Golden Apple hits onto oBoronic, but not enough for a kill. Everyone makes it out.
AstralAuthority getting the better end of that one. Both junglers were very low in that scuffle as Astral confirmed the Oracle Vision, obtaining this for another about a minute to minute and a half. Neither team really looking for the Gold Fury about 10 minutes into the game, but instead we'll look for some of these neutral objectives.
Not going to be able to stop the back there from DineOhSaw, but that small skirmish not quite going their way. Predators, though, could be in trouble.
I think he's dead.
Yet again, taking a bad fight. Wolves doesn't quite have the damage or the mana, so Predators just barely makes it out.
I thought for a second that he did have his cooldowns necessary, but he must have used it in the Druid form just a little bit earlier. Allows Predators to avoid that Druid blast with his driving strike.
But that's good timing. No teleport available for Predators for another 15 seconds. If he could have waited and backed on his own terms, he could walk back to lane, but not going to be the case here, totally.
And that 15 seconds is going to allow that tower to absorb some of these minions. Going to chip away at the tower and deny some golden experience as Predators still struggling with that 2-level deficit. And the second relic now picked up for Wolves. It's going to be the Thorns, thinking about the late game Hachiman.
That's relevant too, because in their boxing trades, it's going to be that much harder for Predators to return damage to kind of open up the door for Wolves if he wants to go aggressive in the short term. And then, as you said, will be strong against Vaporous Coast, who likes to build crit in the late game to slow him down.
That's true. If Wolves gets very low after a driving strike, if he's expecting the excavate, you just pop the Thorns real quick, and then all of a sudden, the boulder hits you almost as hard.
Inbound already here to try and invade on the blue buff yet again. Looks like they'll be successful this time. Now they're going to have to look for their treat as DineOhSaw's on the backside. Rathatira hits 2, but Earth and Fury comes out from DineOhSaw to even up the odds. Layers wants Fly in the backside.
oBoronic charging up Final Judgment,
Oh,
misses
no,
out on everyone. The pull is good. Onto the Thaw, forcing out the beads. The apple, it's going to spread. A Fly takes out Bobbin.
This is very important from RvL. They need to be able to win this fight. Wolves continuing to be aggressive. He wants to try and make it towards Rapio to help out oBoronic, but the Osiris is just too strong. Predators deletes him, and now they're looking for Wolves as well. Layers comes to join the fray, does have the stun, but the hammer not enough.
The crippled Minefield going to stop the Monolith crash through. Wolves taking a lot of damage. There goes the stun. And where did Vaporous Coast come from? Right from the side like a hero that RvL need. A 5-man group and gets the tier 1 solo tower.
And a very important rotation from Team RvL just as a unit. Predators clearly has needed a little bit of support over here in the solo lane, and my man has gotten it. Tier 1 tower goes down. They nabbed themselves a couple of kills on the Wolves and oBoronic as well.
A lot of good things happening for RvL there. Fly surviving the dive of the Anvil of Dawn from Layers, very crucial. And then a second in avoiding the ultimate, the Final Judgment from oBoronic. Predators in a 1v3, gonna stop the Gold Fury attempt, but he's very low.
does have the driving strike available, avoids the hammer. Predators has made his way out of there. Now RvL gets a kill. oBoronic not going to let him escape for free, though. The Thoth comes around and punishes him, but Gold Fury still stands. Astral not able to answer back.
No, but this time it's RvL starting up the Gold Fury. No Caledonian board for Cyprexa. Rapio and DineOhSaw looking to zone. oBoronic on the side. He has this ultimate still.
Good Wrath of Terror from Inbound is going to create that peel that Cyprexa desperately needed. They'll fall back towards the Gold Fury. oBoronic inbound Cyprexa all here, but the ultimates are down for the duo lane. oBoronic still has Final Judgment, and that might be enough to deter RvL as they fall back away from the objective.
It would be very silly trying to do a Gold Fury against a Thoth with his ultimate ready. So RvL going to concede that one, keeping the game relatively even. Both teams sitting at about almost 35,000 collective gold.
But a big play from Predators. This is just the difference in this RvL squad when Predators is relevant in their matches and they're not getting completely stomped out by a Kukulkan or a Guan Yu as the tier 1 tower falls. He takes that teleport over, survives just long enough to stop them from doing the Gold Fury, and even forces oBoronic to kind of chase him down a bit to get a kill.
It was a good, impressive play from both teams, stopping the Gold Fury attempts in the other. Finding the kill onto Predators, but then losing Layers in response is allowing Rapio a lot of freedom here. That's rushed the height of Nemean Lion. Normally you would want to reflect damage, yes, against Artemis, but not this early in the game. But the way that this game is, or the set has been panning out, Cyprexa was very oppressive with the Medusa play, and I think this isn't a bad idea to shut down the late game Artemis right now before she's an absolute nightmare.
It's going to be really hard for Cyprexa to have the impact he wants, because I mean I don't know if he's going to be able to do damage to Rapio or Predators this game. Not only does Rapio have the high Nemean line as you highlighted, but he's just very good against physical damage anyway. With the tether, he likes to be up close with the slow. I mean, it's going to be a problem for Cyprexa late.
Looking at the duo lane, around the corners, DineOhSaw and Fly, waiting for someone to pop off in the 1v1. Bobby, though, could be the victim. There goes the stun into the roof. The Earthen Fury Rapio uses the Lord of the Afterlife, but just off the mark.
Inbound gets the two-man knockup of the Wrath of Terra and is now in the disengaged path as Layers land on the backside. Inbound still sticking around despite being low. Gotta be careful. Final Judgment rips through the fight, but Cyprexa falls in response. Layers now gets another kill. They take down Fly and Rapio, but a double kill for Vaporous Coast evens up the odds.
Someone from RvL needs to step up, and that someone is going to be Vaporous Coast with a nice double kill, stopping Astral right in their tracks. But Wolves is not deterred. He's very healthy. A lot of mana to work with, and he's going to zone away DineOhSaw while they're going for Predators.
There's a little bit of trouble here in the mid lane. Layers comes in with the hammer to try and join the fray, but Wolves getting a bit controlled there by the walls. Vaporous Coast does have to jump back, but DineOhSaw doesn't get rooted. He still has a chance to walk away. Astral cannot quite lock down the Terra and won't be able to find any more kills there. They'll have to fall away.
A little bit of an early Thorns from Wolves, expecting more damage onto him. Gonna root Predators. That's taken a very aggressive route that tried to stop the back from oBoronic. And knowing this information that the mid lane from Astral is not here, RvL have a window to maybe burst down the Gold Fury, but without Vaporous Coast being interested, rather get his own purple buff and Bobby around the corner, rather play it safe than sorry. This game is just too close to call a Gold Fury for either team.
That could be the kind of thing that could break the game open, so you don't want to give up any objectives that you don't feel confident your team's going to be able to secure at this point. They're happily playing it safely and falling back. Oracles do go the way of Team RvL, but this game much more even rather for RvL than it has been in recent memory. Predators now evening things up with Wolves, only down about a level and a half or so. Vaporous Coast actually a little bit out in front. They're certainly in this game still, and they need this win.
But the later this game goes, the scarier it gets for RvL, considering that you're dealing with oBoronic stuff and Cyprexa's Artemis. Only one death between the two of them each. And I think that Astral are still transitioning fairly well into this mid to late game. I think that RvL, as the game progresses, they're on the opposite end of it. Rapio's Osiris becomes less effective. Going for these cheap items like Oni's Hunter's Garb is a good idea when you're forcing these early fights. The more people you're around, which is what you want to do as Osiris, the less damage you take.
It's clear that he wants to try and dive into this fray, and not like your traditional warrior jungle where you still build mostly damage and rely on just your base tankiness to sort of help you out. He's building almost like he was in the solo lane all game, and he wants to make sure he's going to be a nuisance, not just for Cyprexa, but whoever he's on the backline harassing.
I mean, if he's the tanky one as well, then Fly and Vaporish can do their late game things just the same way Oboronic and Cyprexa can.
Layers looks like he wants to pull the trigger. He lands on the Rapio. Evade and Punish is there from distance as well, and they force Rapio to lose Lord and Afterlife defensively. Wrath of Terror hits DineOhSaw, but they do not have the follow-up for it. An odd commit there. Layers, really, I don't think the rest of Astral was quite as close as he thought.
I think he might have wanted to hit Fly, but he gets out onto Rapio instead. That passive from Osiris, alongside the Tether, alongside the Oni's Hunter's Garb, is keeping him alive against all that burst damage onto Layers and Boronic's follow-up. If Bobby had used that Wrath of Terror before the Lord of the Afterlife, maybe they find the kill.
Wolves continuing to box it out just a little bit here in this middle lane. Got to fall back. Coming a little bit of trouble. He has some help coming in the form of Oboronic and Inbowned. Predators gets pulled back in. Two-man strife into the two-man wall, but Layers puts a stop to it with a wall of his own. Rapio has the thorns ticking, but gets caught in the trap that sets up the stun and the long-range damage. Oboronic puts him in the ground.
Final Judgment hitting its mark. A second kill. Inbound goes down. A 2-for-1. Still wanting more. Vaporish Ghost is so deep. He's leading the charge.
He finds himself a double kill, but Oboronic shuts him down despite the rampage he was on. 3 kills now coming out for Astral as Layers dunks in aggressively but falls to Fly. Oboronic gets a double kill, gets pulled in by Predators. Now he's died a bloodbath as only Oboronic and Predator still alive.
A 4-on-4 as Oboronic can only wave to the last remaining member from Rivals. Like, well, I'm not going to dive you for that last kill for the DSI. I'm just going to continue to farm, but man, that's the only thing you could do if you're Oboronic and the rest of Astral. Just wave and clap because they're going through a barn burner today.
It's just been a real bloodbath here in this middle lane. So much exchanges of fights here in that middle lane. I mean, I can't believe almost everyone died except for just the mid laner and the solo laner. So in the end, they fall back on that one solely. Not much really gained for either side.
One jumps and then the other.
They recognize they're
it's a split. It's split perfectly even, 1-for-1.
Now Inbound going to come in. Earth and Fury actually committed it from DineOhSaw. I think he thought they had more of an opportunity to take down Oboronic than they actually had. So in that situation, he will be able to make it away. But a nice ultimate expended. One of the best team fighting ultimates on the side of Team Rival wasted.
You can tell that these guys, as serious as they are, they still like to have fun with each other. Jumping for as long as they can, back and forth. The Oracles actually splits evenly, 1-for-1. Neither team acquiring that vision. And that's been the telltale of this game. 20 kills combined between these two teams in 21 minutes of play. It's still too risky to go for any sort of neutral objective.
Yeah, this was never a sprint. It's truly a marathon between these two teams. Who can continue to play at a high level, can continue to execute with the fewest mistakes is going to be the call here. And right now, these teams are even. No one's done anything particularly egregious. Even though Wolves is a little bit ahead of Predators, it's nothing that they can't fight into, and that's helping them stay relevant.
It's helping them stay still inside the set where they are down 0-1 as Rival. Astral looking to clean up and crown themselves the summer champions. They couldn't do it in spring. They were a couple games away there. But this time around, they forced a bracket reset finish. That's so impressive to be able to battle your way from the lower bracket.
It's so impressive when you consider that they had to play those first 2 games up against Flashpoint. They come in and they use like a strategy they specifically had and make it work. And now they're all the way here to reset the bracket up a game, and Bold Fury being looked at. DineOhSaw ends up stunned, and Vayne and Punish is good. Final Judgment being charged up. It's off the mark, but Layer's going to come dunking in anyway. Wrath of Terror sets up for the follow-up from Thor, and DineOhSaw goes down.
Predators might follow him immediately after the driving strike gets stopped by the wall. Second dead Rival member, Astral, looking for the Skull. No, they're actually looking for more kills.
Yeah, Layers cannot be deterred right now. He's going in aggressive. Rapio next one on the chopping block as Cyprexa continues to not miss. Rapio falls. Only Fly and Vaporish Coast still standing. A 3-for-0 in Astral's favor. Make it a 4-for-0. Layers undeterred. He wants the win. He's hungry for it right now.
I saw Layers' face in that player cam. He was popping off as he dove that tier 2 tower. Very impressive stuff from this Thor jungle, even granting himself a speed buff for his troubles.
And this is the kind of player that we know Layers can be. Sometimes his Layers a little bit quiet. Can he vanish in a game? Yes. But more times than not, this is the man that you're going to have playing for you on your team. Someone who can go 4-2-7, can pop off when it's 6 hours and you still have a bunch more to go and keep your team pumped. Fire Giant now on AstralAuthority, and they are not done yet.
23 minutes into the game, AstralAuthority commanding it now with a little bit of a gold lead, not too much, but once all these towers get stripped away, you can just add 5,000 gold on top of already their 5,000 gold lead.
Layers, this time having the impact that's just a little bit more than what Rapio has been able to do. He's gone this unique build path we already talked about with Hyde and the Onis, now to the Hyde of the Urchin. A little bit late for this one is one where you kind of expect to be able to get those stacks up a little bit sooner. But with how much action there has been, it probably won't be too hard for him to get some.
I agree. Despite being on the receiving end of some of these kills, there's plenty to go around for both teams.
Yeah.
They're diving tier 2 towers. They're trying to look for those aggressive plays. So sure, why not go for Hyde of Urchin for not just Predators, but also on Rapio's side. I'm really liking this double Urchin, which is surprising to not see it in some of the previous games with how much action has been popping off.
That's right. It's a good adjustment from Team Rival, but it just hasn't been enough. Astral grabbed the tier 1 and left. There's 3 tier 2 towers still to be grabbed. Another 4,500 potential gold as they want this tier 2, but Rival are going to defend it. DineOhSaw takes some poke. The boar is dropped, and now Rapio's in trouble. Final Judgment smacks him, and who else up in the air but Layers looking for someone to dunk on with the Anvil of Dawn.
The shell fades away, a nice double stun onto Vaporish Coast. The Wrath of Terror knocks up Vaporish Coast. He's going to be the first victim, but not until Bobby gets answered as well.
He ends up eating the apple for the good of the team as Wolves goes in aggressive, gets a bit controlled there by Predators, but the tier 2 towers falls. 50-meter fly ends up falling. Predators has to try and get away from the damage from oBoronic, who goes in aggressive with the evade and punish. Rapio pulls their attention back, but they all just turn and burn. Rapio has nowhere to go.
Oh, he avoids the hammer, but he's not going to avoid the double stun. Oboronic gets credit with that kill. It's only Predators and DineOhSaw looking for the defense on the left side. Phoenix.
Big time plays from Predators though as he comes in and shuts down Cyprexa. They really needed that hunter damage to shut down this Phoenix. DineOhSaw in a little bit of trouble as well. Avoids the final judgment, but stuck inside the cripple field. Layers is untouchable. Deicide now for Astral. Someone shut this kid down.
Both of these teams are oiled up and ready to ride because they are fighting over every little thing. The Phoenix holds for the moment as there's too many unhealthy members from Astral going to have to concede that attempt. Fire Giant still around their waist for another minute 15 seconds. There was still 2 more towers remaining. That's 3,000 gold waiting for Astral.
This is tough though if you're Rival. This game's certainly not over, but up until now, Wolves has just been popping off, right? And you haven't been able to find an answer to this solo lane and slowing it down. This game, you commit a lot to keeping the solo lane relatively even, and it is. But still, they're struggling to find an answer against Astral because if Wolf is not the one that's going off, then Layers and oBoronic are happy to do it. And Cyprexa has been right there with them as well. They just can't get everyone on the Astral down at once.
It's the control from AstralAuthority where Rival needs to respond with some crowd control reduction or at least some separation. There can't be a double stun from one Anvil of Dawn. That just cannot be a thing. It was both, I think, DineOhSaw and Vaporish Coast getting caught by that one ability. And then after that one stun, a little too... I don't think that the Hachiman had his beads available. Couldn't really escape the clutches from all that CC. The Wrath of Terror setting up a lot. Aegis bought him like half a second, but at the end of the day, it was that one Anvil of Dawn allowing Astral to continue the pressure.
8-1-9 now for oBoronic, top of the player damage charts at 20,000 Tolian. Having an excellent game for himself here. We'll see if we can continue that going as they're going to group up around this gold. If you remember, they already grabbed the tier 2 tower on the left-hand side. Only have a couple more tier 2 towers to go with. They're trying to add a little bit more global gold. In fact, Cyprexa waiting for that Gold Fury to pop into the map so they can take it down.
Trying to make something happen on the left, just adding more gold. Utilizing their Fire Giant to its fullest extent. Despite it fizzling away 20 seconds ago, there's still a small window to grab this Gold Fury and start moving over to the right side. AstralAuthority really playing it careful. Not wanting to overstep with some tier 2 towers. They want to be fully 6 slotted before they go for that final nail in the coffin.
But Toli, has RvL gotten enough from this Osiris in the jungle? Now the Spirit Robe is coming out. It's been such a defensive pick. It's so much pressure on Fly and Coast to do all the damage.
That's how the strategy is being deployed by RvL, it seems. So there needs to be those shots being hit. The problem is oBoronic is hitting those long-range shots onto both Vaporish and Fly, so those squishy targets not getting the opportunity that they need to survive to deploy all of their return fire.
It's such a tough composition to try and heavily rely on 2 sources of damage because there's too much control from Astral. Even the evade and punish has been a strong tool. Layers has been dunking on 2 people almost every time. Wolves has the cripple and the stun. There's not enough room for Fly and Coast to operate, as they should grab this Fire Giant here for free.
Should be the case. Fire Giant goes down. It will be the enhanced version, granting themselves 30% extra structure damage. These tier 2 towers are just going to absolutely melt here. I don't think RvL should try to hold on to it. It's not worth defending to stop Astral from getting an additional 1,500 gold here or another 1,500 gold on the right side of the map, because they're already fully slotted with the exception of Inbound still holding on to that Guardian's Blessing.
These games have gotten a little bit longer here towards the back end now, Toli. Some of the earlier ones finished 20 minutes, 23 minutes. We're approaching that 30-minute threshold now. AstralAuthority going to be able to grab this tier 2 tower and the tier 2 tower in solo without much trouble. But as the day grows longer, how well can RvL handle the strain? Not just of consecutive losses, but consecutive matches where nothing they're trying can work. Astral continually putting them to the test.
I mean, listen, Finch, if RvL lose this game, and they win the next 3 in a row, they rightfully deserve to be the summer champions, undisputed, and then they'll have to obviously look back at those losing games and then figure what the hell went wrong, because nothing is working for them.
Whoa, Vaporish Coast, I knew you well. He has been removed. 50-meter fly. The next one, a little bit of trouble. The wall zones him away, but Cyprexa deletes Rapio. oBoronic's final judgment is just too much. AstralAuthority up 3 kills here. Only 3 members standing for RvL. They should be able to take this, right? This should be enough.
oBoronic sealing the fate of Vaporish, sealing the fate of RvL. Only 3 RvL jerseys trying to defend their Titan, and I think Astral, they're going to win this one to go on 2-0.
Yeah, well, for this whole time, it's been Wolves the MVP, but I think you can vote for oBoronic this time. Game not over yet, though, as Predators continues to fight this one out, but he falls to the pressure from Layers. They move right back to the Titan room. Only Fly still standing to defend. AstralAuthority from the lower bracket have climbed back to tournament point. 1 more game, and they take the whole thing.
Man, Astral are really feeling themselves. Yet again, Layers just clapping away at their competition, saying, good game.
Seems a little sarcastic.
I mean, every taunt is always sarcastic. Or every clap inside Smite when you use the emote is always sarcastic.
Yeah,
right?
you've never, well, on consoles, not VXC, but you never clapped on purpose before just because you really like to play?
No.
No, you're right.
You can't give that respect in-game.
You're right. I've only ever clapped when someone, like, let's say that you just miss a final judgment. Why to my right? I'm
just gonna clap.
I'm clapping. Yeah.
I'll never forget where I think it was Dardas playing Bacchus. I forget who he was against, but he like survived 1v4, and as he has 25% health, he goes back into the team clapping with Bacchus, the most obnoxious thing you can ever deal with. And that there's something to be said about that, because that gets into your opponent's head. And that right there, what Layers was doing.
Absolutely.
He is really getting into RvL's heads.
Well, at this point, I mean, AstralAuthority, if they weren't already in their heads, they certainly are now. 1 more game away from being able to take this entire tournament. 2 games up here in this lower bracket reset that they've earned for themselves. And I got to ask you all, who is your MVP? For most of this set, most of this whole grand finals, it's been Wolves, but I think it's got to be oBoronic.
oBoronic, with just that last final judgment, told the story. The backline from RvL couldn't really hold their own, despite how tanky Rapio was, because just of the range of Layers through the Thor, the range of the Thoth from Boronic, and that's the crazy great strategy between these two combinations. I think Thor goes hand in hand with Thoth, and Astral making it happen today.
Yeah, you could also make the case for Layers. He had such an impressive performance throughout that early game and really the whole time. I'm pretending like it was just early on. So Boronic looked good because a lot of that setup came from Layers. Between those two, I don't think that you all can go wrong. But potentially only one more game left. Potentially, let's get it back over to the desk to get their thoughts.
Fantastic performance from the North Americans. I got to say, no offense, I'm a little surprised that we're getting this competitive of a series, but I'm certainly not disappointed.
No, I'm kind of surprised that that game was so competitive that RvL looked better. It is to the point where it feels to me like Astral has broken RvL mentally.
Predators got a kill.
He got a kill, and his team still lost by a pretty convincing margin. Yeah. And this is the problem, right? When RvL has to say, okay, Rapio, you have to take Osiris because, either you or Predators have to play it because we can't afford to give it to Wolves, and we don't know what to do otherwise. You are forced to pick this character that you don't play all the time. And that is not a jungle Osiris build. That is the, I'm playing Osiris and I don't want to get embarrassed build. That is the full tank Osiris jungle that's just not going to bring it, man. You got to go, if you're going Osiris jungle, in my mind, at least an early Crusher, an early Void Shield, something. Can you transition to tanky later on? Of course you can, but initially, that build just screams to me that Rapio is not comfortable.
Exactly, and that's what I was kind of getting at before. I was like, if you give Rapio the Hercules, even though it's not your #1 pick, he'll be more comfortable on it. It's similar to some of the other assassins that he can play. This just did not come out really well. What did come out really well, the middle laner. Boronic coming through, man. This guy's play was as good as his haircut. He one-shot somebody a little bit later on in the game.
That was awesome.
One shot, one kill.
That is every reason I play mid ever. What Boronic did to 50 meter, or excuse me, to a Vaporish Coast on that left side. Like, that is what mid lane is about to me.
Yeah.
And look, this guy absolutely deserving of an MVP performance here in the MVP vote. But all the talk so far has been about Wolves and Wolves and Wolves, and for good reason. But give Layers some credit, man. This guy has played lights out almost every single game this entire series. This is a guy who everyone said during the beginning parts of his career that he got too nervous on LAN. Once he, if you beat him early on, you tilted him, he was never going to be able to come back. He gets embarrassed yesterday. I mean, he got
really
out-jungled
poorly,
really, really hard yesterday, and has come back and looked really, really strong in this game. For my money, he was the MVP of that game because he was so critical in setting up Boronic and setting up the rest of AstralAuthority. Layers probably won't win MVP if Astral win this set because it's a runaway for Wolves.
Sure.
But I don't think that you can overstate how important he has been to Wolves and by extension all of Astral's success.
He is what I call a coach's luxury, right? Coach here for AstralAuthority. We kind of mentioned it before. I grow a little upset about the Odin man here.
I don't get it, dude. I don't get it. I've spent what? This is game 7 that we're going into right now in total.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get it after game 2.
Yeah. The Capri ban, I think, makes a little bit more sense as Astral bans out the Chernobyl. But what it comes down to, Aggro, is Astral drew up games for Wolves to win, right?
Yep.
That catalyzed the team, and then Astral drew up a game for Boronic to win. They hard swapped their carry, whatever reason it may be, they hard swapped their carry, and the luxury of being able to do so is by having a glue guy like Layers. Now, I guess that's the wrong terminology, honestly, but at the end of the day, Layers is the guy that's enabling you to facilitate whatever game plan you want. If Astral wanted to run through Cyprexa, which I don't think is going to happen anytime soon, they could do so because Layers would set it up.
Yeah.
He is making everybody look good.
Layers has absolutely matured as a player. Maybe still needs a little bit of maturation outside of the battlefield, but you know what? Inside the lines, this dude has really evolved as a player. I love the way that he plays the game almost every time he loads in, and I think that deserves a lot of credit because the way that he used to play, even though it was very flashy and he got a bunch of kills and all that kind of stuff, wasn't conducive to team play a lot of the time. This man has really turned it around, and now is focused on winning more so than his own personal accolades, and that's a huge deal.
And I think that has something to say about him outside of the game as well. He has matured as an individual because of that winning mentality, you know. And he's still a little bit rough around the edges, but I mean, he came in here. Listen, he had to change his name. He was so rude. He said.
Yes.
That's of his own admission. He went from Layers of Death to Chaotic Purpose, and there's something symbolic, I think, about Chaotic Purpose being the interim name. But he matured himself as a player, as an individual, and yeah, you know what? Maybe a little bit to grow there. But I like what KP has turned into. Layers of Death, whatever you call this man, he is the guy that's making it happen. Osiris and Thor on the side of Astral.
Love it.
Ryan, I'm sorry. If the screen turned off right now, I would just say Astral won the draft already.
This is Astral saying, you haven't beaten it yet, beat it. Here you go. The rest of our team comp doesn't matter. We just pick these two and we win the game.
Just deal with it. That's what they're trying to say here. Osiris and Thor not going to be able to be stopped by RvL if Astral have their way. Discordia, a little bit chaotic there in the middle lane. And you see RvL digging deep, trying to bop hard with their bank time. Rapio pretty vocal here, trying to decide what they will do to deal with Osiris. And I choose my words very carefully there, because I don't think they're going to counter the Osiris. I don't think they're going to beat the Osiris. If RvL win this game, they are going to deal with the Osiris, and Wolves will still do his thing.
Interesting, Sylvanas. Okay, I like this switch up. Every game, DineOhSaw has been either Terra or Gep by my estimation.
Yeah.
And so switch it up, give yourself a pressure pick, and then go with a non-pressure pick. This feels weird to me. If that's a Hachiman, if that's an Uller, if that's the Vaporish go win us the game in the early game sort of pick, I'm all about these two picks in the dual lane. I am not a fan of the X-Ball.
I like the X-Ball here because of basically the opposite of everything. This is Sylvanas will have the pressure in lane that Chibalaki doesn't, and this is Vaporish win us the game in the late game.
Yeah, but by that point, he's going to have to deal with a level 20 Osiris that has just been obliterating his right side of the map for the first
turning the lights off.
21 minutes.
I like this Chibalaki, man.
I don't know. By the time I think he hits critical mass, it's going to be critically over for RvL at this rate.
Oh, that was good. It was good.
It really wasn't.
I'm being facetious.
I know you are.
You know what is good?
What's that?
The Thoth Guy pick for the mid lane.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's the second or third time I've said that this set, because it's the second or third time Astral are just going back to what won them the game. Osiris, Thor, Thoth. Can we just back it up?
No, not yet. We gotta.
No, I mean ready to get in game. I think they've won the draft.
Oh yeah. We could probably do that. I am interested in what RvL's gonna ban here. Jingwei. Okay, that's fine. I think it is imperative that this next ban is Athena, because Athena is so nuts.
On which side?
I think RvL needs to ban Athena next. Like, that has got to be the ban, because her setup would be so nuts for this Thoth. Imagine trying to kill that Osiris with an Athena ultimate on top. This Terra ban is maybe just saying Astral hasn't picked the Athena when it's been open so far.
Yes.
But this should be a snap lock Athena in my estimation.
You know what? I really hope Astral do wind up playing the Athena, because that would be the 300 IQ play. They've conditioned, and I'm not even joking around here. For those Medusa's here, we'll see what the Guardian is. I'm not even joking around here with this. Condition your opponent to think you don't want to play it, and then tournament point, bring it out because you didn't ban it.
Game one.
That really is there.
Yeah, spanked by it in game one, then bring it back in game 7 to really drive the point home. Like, we still had this in the pocket the whole time.
More about the conditioning of not banning it. I mean, that is very, very, very attractive. And I'm sure there are people in chat saying no. I vehemently believe that is a very cool approach.
I think that would be a great pick here.
All about it.
And for RvL, I'm thinking about Ratatoska right now for Rapio. That's been the god that he's been able to make big plays on with Serket band and Robin band. I think I'm looking towards Ratatoska, maybe Susano, to try and make some good individual plays. I think either of those two is fine by me. Rat is good. This does put a little bit more trust in the team in the late game, but that's where that Gibalanke comes in, and I do think that you can still trust Coast. He had a great game last game to try and keep RvL in it. Just the rest of the team wasn't quite there with him.
The Pentakid hasn't had a bad game. Not all of his games have been good. but he's been average to good in every single game here. Similar to Fly, he's been very consistent.
Yeah.
It's been hard to keep him out. Cullen here for Predators. I mean, this is. Yeah, I mean, even though you have the wounded warrior, so to speak, he hasn't been able to perform. It was just 24 hours ago that he was embarrassing other people with this pick. So
yeah.
Give it to him, back against the wall. All in all, I know I was saying that Astral kind of won the draft. RvL has the tools right now.
Yeah, RvL can win with this comp. They can win with this comp, for sure. This is not a bad draft by RvL. I just feel like anytime Astral gets Osiris, Thor, Thoth, you're in some trouble.
I agree. Final selection for Astral for this game could be the final selection of the entire SCL Summer Finals. Medusa, Thoth, Thor, and Osiris. They need a Guardian. They need a support. Bobby praying.
No,
will it be the Ganesh?
Yep.
And it will be the Ganesh.
No, dude, this is the best Athena comp you could have ever asked for, Tom.
Yeah. Remember when I said how they set up this conditioning to the opponent? Yeah, I don't believe that anymore. Going with the Ganesh. Bobby letting us know he's going with the Ganesh. Got to give a shout out to the showman over there. And we are certainly going to get an earful from Bobby.
Yes, one way or the other. I'm probably going to yell at him about not picking Athena in this slot later on. And then I'm going to just be told something about how Double Guardian's Blessing is really good in the duo lane.
Okay, about that.
It was trash.
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
They had more gold, but did it matter?
No,
Exactly.
Because you can't win a boxing fight one-on-one through literally 25 minutes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, boy. Tournament point for Astral here. RvL on the edge. This is a composition, you've heard me and Ryan talk about it, is a comp that RvL can absolutely win with. And I need to rectify that. It's not just they can win with it. They are likely to. This is a comp, safety and comfort in the jungle, safety and comfort in the mid lane, safety and comfort in the solo lane. Theoretically, if RvL play the way that we expect them to before today, this is a comp that wins this game.
Yes. However, we have 6 games of context in this set. I mean, there was a best-of-5 bracket reset by AstralAuthority, and now they've won the first 2 and haven't looked like they needed to struggle to do so yet. What has the longest game time been in this entire set?
Ooh,
35, 36 minutes, something like that. Not long games by any stretch. So Astral has made it look easy thus far. I don't know that this is the RvL comp that's going to change that.
I am just sitting here with bated breath getting ready for the game. I posed a question to you guys in Mixer chat. Who will take this home? Is it Astral bringing home the trophy, or is it going to be their European counterparts across the way, RvL, trying to bring this one to a game number 4? Right now, that's where I leave you. We'll be right back with game 3 very soon.